Desire2Grow podcast, a podcast focused on growth in all aspects of life, whether it's spiritual, physical, and mental, helping us grow in our careers, relationships, and hobbies. Please note, the following views expressed are my personal opinions and stories. If you seek professional help, please see a professional therapist or counselor. I'm your host, Samdish, and this is episode 0, The Man Behind the Mic. Hey everyone, welcome to my podcast. My name is Samdish Paul, and this is the Desire to Grow. So the first episode will be a bit about myself and why I wanted to start this podcast and my story. And the goal of this podcast is to focus on all aspects of growth, whether it be spiritual, mental, physical, and this is in order to improve our relationships, hobbies, and our education and careers. So how am I going to do this for each of these segments? How are we going to improve our physical self? So physical self, what I mean is being our healthiest self that we can be, whether it be through our diet, whether it be through activity, whether it be through going to the gym, living an active lifestyle. I think this is really important, not only for the physical, but this also translates to the mental. And mentality-wise, I'm talking about the ability to stay strong-minded, stay broad-minded. And in terms of spiritual, I mean being able to find ourselves. And I believe that if we be the best version of ourselves through all three of these pillars, have a broad-minded growth mindset, we can really improve our relationships, we can do well in our careers, and we can also do well in our hobbies. So what's the goal with the podcast? What will I be doing? Well, the plan is to interview different people in different industries. So for career growth, we'll talk to different Gen Z and Millenials who are excelling in their own career, whether it be the marketing industry, the IT industry, the healthcare industry, just to name a few, but we're talking about anything. And even people who start their own businesses. So we're talking anyone who wants to start their own business, whether it be the restaurant business, the jewelry business. There's so many different businesses out there, even tech businesses, especially right now with the pandemic. A lot of people are starting different businesses. For hobbies, we're talking any type of hobby. This could be someone who's a marathon runner, somebody who dances, someone who's a singer, someone who's an artist. So the goal will be to interview different people in that hobby segment and talk to them and see how they were able to excel in their hobby, grow in their hobby, and some of the skills and tactics they used to improve themselves. Even to tie into the career aspect, we'll go to people who focus more on education. So by education, I mean people who will be more like people who are more focused on going to a postgraduate program, whether it be a PhD or someone who's trying to get into medical school or law school. So it's not really too many Gen Z, as Gen Z are mostly the people who are just graduating now who can talk to their experience of how they got into med school, how they got into law school, the current process of how it is right now. So talking to different people who got into these programs, how they did it. And in terms of our relationships, the goal is deeper down to talk to different people, and spiritual people too, like people who have been able to find themselves, and how they've been able to connect and improve their relationships. So as we are in a pandemic, and this is why I really wanted to start this show right now, is I'm fortunate enough to have a job, but there's a lot of my friends right now who are struggling to find a job. There's even people who are struggling to get into their desired educational program. And of course, with COVID changing times, it's been really hard for people. So my goal will be, at least for the first segment, it'll be focused on educational and career growth. So I'll be interviewing different people in different industries, the marketing industry, the IT industry, whatever it may be. And we're going to talk a bit about how they got into the role they did, how they broke into the industry, and also tips along the way of how they improved and excelled at their job. And I feel like this will be really good. I mean, I wish I had this earlier on, of seeing how people got into their respective industries. And I think it'll be great, especially right now with networking being really hard, not being able to go to networking events as often. I feel like this will be a good outlet to learn different things in different segments. So a bit more about myself now. Why do I want to start this podcast? Why the desire to grow? Well, it was never a linear path for me. All of you can probably relate, especially with those who have immigrant parents. My parents came here, of course, with almost nothing. They came for a better livelihood for me and my family, me, my siblings. And it was, of course, tough, like early on for them and to start things off. And they also went through a tough time as I was going through high school. And during that time, they kind of had to shut down the business that they were running. And at the time, I wasn't really the best version of myself, you can say. I always liked playing video games. I wasn't that fond of school. Not really fond of anything in life besides playing video games. And nothing to say that video games aren't bad. I still play them all the time, but it's all about that balance. And it was in grade 12 where I found fitness and the gym. And finding this hobby of fitness really boosted my confidence because at the time I was a chubby kid. I was one of those like chubby fat kids, you can say. And at the time I lost a lot of weight, and me losing weight boosted my confidence a lot. And this was around grade 12 first semester. So of course, getting into university, I did apply to different universities, but my average wasn't looking that great. And I really had to push myself for my second semester. So what I did is throughout that time, I got conditional offers, meaning if I had to push my average up, and fitness brought work ethic inside of me. So I thought, I'm like, my parents came here, they struggled so hard, the least I can do is focus on school. So I put myself together, and in my final semester, I was able to barely just get into university. And that's kind of, I guess you can say my mindset did shift a bit there. Like I did improve myself through my hobby, but it wasn't a balanced approach. And when I got into university, I wasn't doing the best. And the reason for this was I still loved fitness, and you could say I was too addicted to it in a sense. I was too passionate about fitness in the sense that I would spend so much time doing it, and it wouldn't be balanced. I wouldn't be doing other things in life. It would. So what did I do? It was about second year, I guess you can say, where I went through another mindset shift. And at second year, I didn't get into the co-op program, even though I had the minimum GPA requirement at the time, which was 3.0. And it kind of shocked me, and I was kind of sad at that point, and I started just spending more time on fitness. And then that fourth semester, after I found out I didn't get into co-op, I kind of lost motivation for school. And it was horrible. Like my GPA suffered. I had a 1.67 GPA in that semester, and it was kind of rough having a bad GPA. And I thought, like, okay, I'm a business student now, a bad GPA. My prospects of getting into any job or any program postgraduate is probably gone. And at the time, I could have gone two ways. I could have quit. I could have been like, okay, it's over, right? It's done. Like I've got a bad GPA. There's no point in going to school. Or I could have said, you know what? Like it's not over yet. We still have 2 more years. Let's work harder and let's find an internship. Just because I didn't get into co-op doesn't mean I can't do an internship. So I started working hard and I started networking like crazy. I'd wake up early in the morning. I would message a lot of people, different people to network, and it was kind of hard at first. But I finally landed a job at Rogers for door-to-door sales, and that experience was really, really good for me. Because it helped me understand that a lot of different skills that are required for a growth mindset. And I also learned that a lot of skills I learned through fitness, my hobby, were transferable towards my profession and education. 3 of the biggest things that I noticed was from fitness was that failure is needed to grow. And every time in powerlifting or fitness, and when I failed a set, I usually would evaluate why I failed it, how I could do better. And this translated into the workplace, and that specifically that time at Rogers, because at Rogers, being door to door, you would get door slammed in your face sometimes. And every time I got a door slammed in my face or someone did not want a product, instead of feeling demotivated, I try to understand why did the sale not go good. I reflected, I try to get better. In school, when I got an assignment that I didn't do that well in, I would reflect, okay, what's going on here? Let's talk to the professor. How can I do better? And as I had this mindset, going into my third year, it made me much more versatile. School started becoming easier. Even though my courses were much harder, everything started becoming easier. It's because I was more open-minded. I wasn't afraid once I did bad. I kept going. I stayed versatile. Another important thing that I learned was it's not only important to work hard, but work effectively. a lot of us, we spend a lot of time working hard sometimes, especially when we have to procrastinate. We're bunching everything up together. And what I mean by work effectively is nowadays we're living in an era with the internet. There's so many different things, so many different avenues of where we can learn. So why do we choose to just learn through the traditional method, whether it be the textbook that the professor is using us? Why don't we listen through a podcast about the same subject? Why don't we listen through YouTube videos? Why don't we get different perspectives? Once you get different perspectives on one subject or one topic, you'll quickly notice that you'll understand that topic in depth. And of course, it changes depending on the situation, but what you'll see is you'll be able to excel more. So yeah, that was about third year, and going into third year, my mindset was completely different now. My circle, I started changing the people I hung out with. I was much more confident, and I spent a lot of time networking too, knowing I didn't go to any Ivy League school or any sort. And then at third year, I worked really, really hard, and then I really got fond of finance. My major was economics, but I didn't really like it in second year. But third year, I started really liking economics, and then I did a minor in finance too. And at the time, I really wanted to get into sales and trading. And if you guys don't know, any type of sales and trading or capital markets job usually requires a super high GPA. And my GPA, of course, wasn't that good because the semester prior, I had a 1.67, which was showing in my transcript. So I had to kind of take the indirect route. I knew what I was doing, but how can I showcase that without through sending my resume? So what I did is I started networking like crazy. I went to a few events, and I came across a company called Cambridge, and I really hit it off with the manager and the HR team. And through that, I was able to get a job because from the interview, the manager knew I knew what I was talking about when it came to foreign exchange or the products that they were selling. And through that conversation, he knew that I would do well on the job. Fast forward, 4 months passed by, and this was me in my third year. And the internship went amazing. I learned so much. I also found a passion towards technology because throughout my internship, even though I was working on the sales and trading desk, I was working a lot with business analysts, and that's kind of where I found my passion for business analysis and technology. Now, I was kind of in fourth year trying to make a shift. I'm like, how can I go into technology while I studied business, economics, and finance? How will I get a technology-related job? So I started doing a few case competitions, tech-related case competitions too, to kind of get that exposure. But I also started taking courses online. And employers love this. A lot of people only just do their degree, but trust me, employers love you taking courses on top of your original course load because it shows that you're willing to go outside to learn. You're willing to go outside of your typical norm, just a degree to learn. And why that's important is because employers are saying, okay, this guy won't just look at one avenue to learn. He'll go through several different avenues, and he'll spend his own personal time to learn the subject. So with that being said, it was my fourth year now, and I started interviewing for many different places. And luckily, through everything I learned, all the versatility I've built, and the growth mindset I had, I was able to get a job at a Fortune 500 company in the financial services industry. And I've been at this role for almost 1.5 years now, and it's been an amazing path. Despite not having a technical background, I've been able to do really well on the job. And just looking back now, it's been quite the journey. Like going back all the way to high school, where I was barely getting into university, and then getting an ideal job at the end of university, getting into a big company and excelling at the role now. So going back to my vision of why I want to start this podcast and how my story kind of ties into it, it's mainly because what I learned is that anyone can change their mind. Like a lot of us feel that it's over once we get a bad grade or once we fail in something, but to be honest, that's just the beginning of another chapter. We can't let the failures define us. We got to keep going. We got to hustle. And trust me, like you can do whatever you need to do. We are going through a pandemic right now, but let's work together. Let's both grow. I'm gonna be interviewing a lot of different people in different industries, whether it be someone starting their business, someone in the marketing industry. We're gonna see how they did it and the tips along the way of how they're navigating through the job in the pandemic. So this will give you guys a good understanding of how the industry is and how you can go into the interview process. So at the end of the day, like I really want to start this because I wish myself that in high school or in second year when I was struggling, I had someone tell me this, that you can go through these. And of course you have to go through your experiences, but if I could help even one person change their mindset towards finding the job, that would be amazing. And the key here really is a lot of people focus more on the output, getting that degree, getting that job. But to be honest, the reality is you got to focus more on the inputs. You got to focus on improving yourself, because once you improve yourself, you'll quickly notice that it's easy now to get the output, because you're focused so much on the inputs, you're focusing on the now. And the more you focus on the now, you'll quickly see that whatever you want to achieve in life will be easy. So I'm super, super excited for you to join me on this journey, and I can't wait to get this podcast started. I'm going to be having episodes bi-weekly every Tuesday. So this is episode 0, the man behind the mic, me. And it was great to talk to you all and tell you a bit about myself and why I want to start this podcast. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I really appreciate you joining me on this journey. If you are interested in the concept of the show and are looking forward to future episodes, please follow or subscribe depending on the platform you are on. Also, please follow me on social media channels, which will be in the description or show notes. I will try my best to post episodes bi-weekly. The first episode will be on marketing, so stay tuned. Bye.